Hey YouTube, I'll try to keep my head in front of the sun here so you can see me and it doesn't wash out the screen. I'm out for my first ride of the year. It's been a long, hard winter here in Michigan, and the trails are finally clear of snow. And so I'm out. Karen's got a headache and did want to come. It takes a little more convincing to get her out after winter. She does crocheting all winter and not much else. We did have a wintertime trip where we went out west, which turned into we were going to go down to California coastline and do some rock hunting, but it turned out that Los Angeles and San Francisco had the worst winter they've had since 1900 something. I'm going to say in the last 100 years. So we didn't even get over to see my brother that was on the west side of the Cascades because of road conditions. We had just terrible weather. We got stuck in Rock Springs, Wyoming for 3 days because the interstate was closed due to snow drifting. If we'd stayed on the road, probably would have made it through there, but we stopped for the night. When we got up in the morning, headed out, we got 2 or 3 miles down the road and there was a gate down. So obviously if the gate's down, can't go any farther. So we came back and we spent another 2 nights, and it already booked a fourth night when they opened up the interstate that morning and we got on the road, and it wasn't the greatest road conditions even then. So we're going to do I'm going to pick up the camera here in a minute and we're going to talk about the treks. Karen's has about 600 miles on it. Mine have close to 1,000 now. This would be our second year of owning them, and I'll talk to you about what I've done and what I haven't done. So let me turn the camera around and show you. So here's the treks. Many of you have seen them. This is going to be the 1,000-mile review. I think it actually only has about 920 miles or 930 miles, but I haven't really had to do anything to it. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole bike. Really haven't done anything to the bike other than the derailleur starting to shift a little slower, so it may be time to adjust the derailleur. Brakes work flawlessly as they have since day one. They will throw you over the handlebars in a second. Now, I like my electric where I have to plan my stops. This I can grab both brake levers and stop in a lickety split. Battery degradation, none so far. Range is somewhere in the 38-mile range. Depending on what mode you run, you'll get tired before you'll run out of range on this thing. Trek estimates range at, with my weight at 33 miles, I've taken it 32 miles and still had lots of battery left. The battery indicator on this bike works different than electrics. It actually does not recover. When it shows it's 1 bar down, it's 1 bar down, and it won't recover no matter how long it sets. So this battery gauge is more accurate than the electrics. It doesn't have the battery sag and doesn't have the battery recovery, so that's an advantage. If you don't remember, this is a 36 volt. They call this a 400 watt hour battery, so it's actually 11.4 amp hours. So it's a little bigger than the electrics. The motor's a whole lot more efficient than electrics. I don't have a throttle like the electric, but I don't use the throttle much anyway on the electric. Neither does Karen, but she uses it more often than I do, especially if I get away from her. She'll try to catch up. Still on the first set of tires. By the time I had 900 miles on the first set of electric tires, I didn't have any tread left on them. These still have the little rubber nipples on the sides of the tires, so I haven't even wore those off yet. So you can see that there's still tread on the tires, and they are not bald yet. Karen's bike, I had to adjust the fenders again for some reason. I think I must back the bike into something and knock the fenders back in. There's a little, if you ever see a fender like this, this is your adjuster. You loosen up this little screw right here, and you can adjust, pull the fender out away from the tire. There's two on each, one on each side. So if you're wondering how you adjust your fenders, if you have one here, one of these, that's how. This bike only gets used on local trips. Like if we're gonna go down and ride a trail, we would take this versus the electric. Even though the electrics, I can just throw in the back of the truck, and versus this, I actually have to take the bed cover off and put a bar, the bike mount bar in the back if I want to take these. So there is a little difference. It's a little harder to take these, but it's just a lot better. If somebody I don't have, this is a class 1 bike. I don't have to worry about anybody telling me I can't be on a trail. One, I'm disabled and prove it with, I have a photo ID that says I'm disabled, so I really don't have to worry about any bikes trails being closed to me. But as a class 1 bike, most trails in Michigan are open to you, whereas a class 2, technically this is a closed to a class 2 bikes, because this is not a hard surface trail. Even though it's semi-hard surfaced, it's compacted asphalt. They grind it up and compact it. It's still is closed to class 2 bikes. See, I'm on this trail all the time. Everybody rides it. Nobody ever says something. The trail manager, the trail maintenance manager and manager doesn't say anything to them either. So, although they haven't come out and officially said that you could ride a class 2 on here, they haven't done so. I see a lot of class 3 bikes on this. We have people riding scooters on this, motorcycles, all kinds of vehicles on here. The first time I was on this trail with my electric, I almost got ran over by side-by-side, going about 70 miles an hour on the trail. So there's really no way to safely block off the trail, but because I think in sometime in the future they're going to end up doing it to try to keep vehicles off here. But the DNR uses this trail during the year to check on people hunting and doing things like that. So back to the review, I guess. I got off on a tangent there. I don't particularly like this suspension seat post, and I would not replace it with another one. It just sags too much. I have a hard time getting my seat height right, and right now it looks like it's actually slid down a little bit. Stem is adjustable. You can make it anywhere from straight up to flat with a Allen wrench. You could do this on trail. I have a set of Allen wrenches if I need to. Electric should have did that, because sometimes you just don't know what you need to, how it needs to be adjusted. The bike shuts off after 10 minutes, which it just did. It runs the lights, whether you, Trek has it set up for the lights to come on automatically. And although in the user's manual, it'll show that you can do it, but shut them off. But for North America, for some reason, they did not put that in their software. You can go to the dealer and ask them to set it so you can shut them off, but they come from the factory with them enabled and not able to be shut off. So it has a tail light and a headlight, and I would probably just leave them run. The little bit of 1 or 2 watt hours that it uses isn't going to make much difference in range. Kickstand is adjustable, and it does move around a little bit. It'll slide up and down a little bit. Fender on Karen's, one of the bolts did fall out, but it's been replaced. Neither bikes has ever been back to the dealer, and probably likely won't unless I have something that I can't figure out in the electronic system. Chain is coming up probably another 400 miles and I'll be replacing this chain. On a 9-speed bike, I do not have a tool to measure chain stretch, and that's when chain stretch is the measurement of if the chain is wore out. It used to be that on a 9/32 chain, you could just take a 12-inch ruler, and if a pin fell on the 12-inch spot on the ruler, then it was still good. If it was past it, it was bad. I'm not sure on these. I would think on these narrow chains, the same rule applies. So if you take and put the ruler 0 mark on one pin on the chain and take the 12-inch mark and put it on another pin, if it's before the pin, the 12-inch mark, then it's still good. If it's after the pin, then you need to replace your chain. Just keep that in mind. Chains don't last as long as most people think they do. Just because they haven't broke doesn't mean they're still good. Once you get to a certain point, then you're starting to wear the cassette end to the chain. And once it gets to that, if you put a new chain in, you'll have this roughness into the in the drivetrain where you'll notice that the chain isn't meshing with the cassette very well, or the front, your chain ring on the front. It can be either and or. So the bike is doing well. Nothing to repair yet. No, the tires were a little low, but that's to expect. Karen's tires were not as low as these for some reason, but maybe because I changed her tires mid-season last year and put wider tires on it. Yeah, they say that you can't put too much wider tires on here, but you can. I put, I think she's got 2-inch tires on hers now. So they're fairly wide and they have more traction. She feels more comfortable on the trail with it. So if you have this, you can upgrade the tires. I'd rather stay with this combo tire because it does well for me, and I'm a little more experienced rider than she is. Accessories. I love this bag. Doesn't go anywhere. It always stays put. It's clipped onto the rack. I wish all bike manufacturers did this. There's no chinsy straps holding it on. It stays put. The water bottle holder, you can't leave a water bottle in it all the time, otherwise it stretches it out. That water bottle holder could be better. I have a pump, a multi-tool bike tool in here, and I have a inner tube and a set of tire irons in there. So no patch kit, because if I'm going to take the tire off, I'm just going to go ahead and put a new tube on it and call it goods. And I don't have anything to remove the wheels on this bike because they're quick release. That was one of the things I wanted in an e-bike, was both wheels to be quick release so that I could take them off if I need to. This bike is also set up to mount panniers if you want. The back rack is already set. The front has the screw holes for it. And if you want to use this bike to do touring, I guess you could. Battery size, the maximum size battery for this is 500, but you can buy a secondary battery to put it on the rack and add another 500 watts for a total of 1,000 watts for a dual battery setup. The battery that goes in here would actually plug into this connector under here, which is also the charging connector. So you could match the 500 watt and that one. I don't think they have to be the same size. The batteries automatically know there's two batteries, and they draw the power off of them both evenly. So no fancy wiring, no reason to buy some kind of adapter. If you want to do that, go to your dealer and ask him for it, because quite frankly, the batteries are the same price nowhere. It matters where you buy them, unless you're buying a used battery. So nothing wrong with the shifter. It's a 9-speed. Nothing wrong with the brakes. The mirror, the cat eye mirror works good. No, this isn't cat eye. Oh, I don't even remember the Miracle or something like that mirror. Clips in the back. It fits on the electric too. If you're looking for a battery mirror for your electric, it has a swivel. You can move it. And if you're afraid you're gonna hit it, you can move it that way. Move it back out. It tilts. So I'm gonna call it a video. I'll upload this when I get home. I hope your spring is going better than ours has. The weather, I didn't want to go out on this trail until the snow melted. I'm not at my usual spot because the mosquitoes are already out and that's up by a couple beaver ponds, and I just didn't want to be swatting mosquitoes because I didn't bring any mosquito spray. So I hope you get out and ride. If you have any repair questions, put them in the comments. If you want to know more about the Trek electric bike line, you can ask me, or you can go to trek.com where you can buy the accessories you see on this bike I bought on trek.com. Have a great day.